S3, right? S3 version control, right? Is my screen visible to everyone? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, great. So in last session we discussed about S3 and then the version control and about the shared security model and then replication, transfer acceleration, right? CloudFront, right? And then about the lifecycle policy, right? Let me browse you through quickly. So about S3, we discussed the simple storage service at Amazon. Then we discussed about the version control, how version control happens for the S3 bucket where you keep a file. And then you have a shared security model. We discussed about the cross-region replication and same region replication. And then we discussed about the benefits of replication. And then about the transfer acceleration when we have to transfer huge files, right? So we use the benefit of CloudFront and the transfer acceleration. So we discussed about the CloudFront lifecycle policy, right? When we can send the objects from one particular storage class to another storage class. Then we have the various storage classes, various types of storage classes, and the cost optimization for S3, right? So a couple of sessions, a couple of topics were left from the previous session, so that I have added for today's objective, right? So today we'll be discussing about Snowball service and storage gateway that spill over from the previous session, and then a couple of questions to revise our previous concepts. Then we'll discuss about the Amazon EC2, right? That is Elastic Compute Cloud, right? We'll be doing some hands-on related to this, and then EC2 features and various components related to EC2, AWS storage, and some hands-on related to S3 and other storage services, as well as EC2. So as much as possible, we'll try to do. So let me tell you that EC2 and this storage, this covers almost 50% of this certification question, at least 40% I would say, right? So these two things are very important, right? So apart from this, like two another pillars are like networking and databases, right? So we need to focus on EC2 as well as storage, right? So let's look at the Snowball service to begin with, right? So please take a look at the picture, right? And then just try to relate. You see here, here you see S3 and on-site storage location on another hand, and you see two physical vehicles moving from here to there, right? So can you understand something from this? And then you see a device as well here, right? So it's a data migration service actually. This is a service, right, related to data migration. And you can see the source and the destination, right? From S3 to on-site to S3, right?
Yeah.
So this provides a secure and very robust and portable device, right? So that device would be called as AWS Snowball, right? Or we call it AWS Snowball Edge, right? So this device is to transfer large amounts of data from S3 to our on-premises data center, or from on-premises data center to S3, right? Or to any other location which is in remote, right? There may not be internet connectivity, right? So a lot of use cases are possible with respect to Snowball services offered by Amazon, right? So you'll find like two different types of services options are there, right, with respect to Snowball Edge, right? One would be like one device you'll get that would be storage optimized, and another device would be compute optimized. So mostly like primarily people use storage optimized devices. There you will have option in single device, you will have option for carrying 80 terabyte of data, right? And if you want to transfer more, So you can have multiple devices, right? So here, this service is to address the challenges related to transferring the massive data with respect to, say, like somewhere bandwidth cost may be very high, right? So their physical transportation of data may be cheaper, correct? Say like in some location, some edge location out of maybe AWS region, right? There may not be any internet connectivity, right? Or there might be poor internet connection or intermittent internet connection, right? Unreliable internet connection. So in those situations, right, this can be of huge help, right? Say like, just think of a situation where you want to collect data from, say, like ship, right? Or say like some military outpost, no, far away from the, like say like any very remote location where there is no internet connectivity. You cannot think of internet connect. So you want to collect the information and data from there, right? That is also possible using these services, right? So when you want to transfer petabytes of data, right, from one location to another, right, from S3 to onsite, onsite to S3, right? So this is a very good option. Okay, making it clear?
Yes, Harish.
Yeah.
But how the data has been will be transferred? Is it through
Physically.
physically? Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
what you have to do is you just create a job request, right? You have option in your console, right? So you can simply go
Okay.
and create a job request, and the device will be prepared for you, and then the device will be shipped to you, right? So as of now, I saw option for US regions, right? So say like they have their UPS service, right? 1 day service, 1 day shipping, 2 day shipping, right? So you just have to choose some option for shipping. They will ship the device to home, right? So now the device will reach, say like in a day or 2 days, and then you just connect the device to your network. There will be RJ45 connector port, right? So using the normal LAN cable, you can connect the device, right? And you can transfer the data there. There will be some security, some authentication, and then you can ship it back to the UPS to the AWS, right? So say like you just ordered it for your office, and it reached to your on-site location, right? So there you just filled the device with data, and then you shipped it back. They will put it in S3, right? Or you can do the vice versa as well, right? You can just raise a request, they will fill it with data, and you can just empty it in your location. And again, you have to return the device.
Okay, so raising a request, it's like there is some client or something through which this.
Just in AWS console, you will have option where you can go and simply choose, click, next, next, next. You can simply raise the request.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll show you.
Okay.
Yeah. You logged into console?
Yes.
All of you logged in?
I'm just logging in.
Okay. See, now we are in AWS Management Console, right?
Yes.
So here only you just have to choose Snowball. Okay. So what you see, AWS Snow Family, right?
Yeah.
Just click on that. You see here, create job option is there.
Yes.
So you have Snow family documentation as well. So please go through whenever you get a chance. Just read about the Snow family documentation as well, right? So you have various smaller and bigger options here. So just you have to click on the create job. You see all these options. Just have to select the country, choose the country. What type of job do you want? What type of job do you need? Right? Import into S3, export from S3, local compute and storage only. So if you want to import the data from S3, you choose this option. You want to export the data from S3, you choose this option. Right? Local computation is like where you just don't want to import or export, just want to work on the data, want to do some kind of computing related, IoT related, some kind of Lambda function will be there. So just want to work on the data. So once we discuss about Lambda, you'll have more clarity about what is this related. So as of now, you just understand importing and exporting from the S3 you can do. You simply choose this and then you can say next, and it will just browse you through your some existing whatever address or whatever thing you can do. You can choose 2-day shipping, you can choose 1-day shipping, right? You can say next. So like that, no? This is just to for you to understand what it is, right? So this understanding should be there. So please go through the documentation. You don't have to go in depth, but you should understand what it is, because questions can be around related to this. So question would be scenario based. In a situation where you don't have internet connectivity, you want to transfer the data. Say like there are options, some other data related, migration related options. That is say like data sync or some directly you can copy from the S3, right? So a lot of possibilities are there. So there they can just try to understand whether you know about this service or not, right? So that's the main thing. Say like data sync, other say like some other option is there, data sync. So the data sync is for syncing the data, right? Without even using any physical devices. AWS data sync simplifies, automates, and accelerates moving data. Deploy an agent, create a task, start the transfer. So benefits and features. So when you get a chance, just read about this as well. Some this concept is also around. So say like you have various options. So question can be, how would you like to transfer? Because this migration is very important, right? From on-premises to cloud, if you have to move your data, right? So there can be various options. In this option, you just have to think how much time it may take, right? Approximately. So around that, there can be questions. Say like you want to transfer, how you have this much of data, and you want to just transfer that data, and you know that this device can carry up to say like 80 terabyte option you are having, right? So how you have to transfer say like 200 terabyte of data. So like that you have what kind of requirement you are having. Based on that, there can be scenario based questions. So I'll just share you at the end of the session, or later I'll be sharing you links, right? So you can go and read the documentation so that you will have more clarity around this. Clear?
Okay.
Yes, yes, Harish.
Okay, sure. So apart from this, you have storage gateway, right? AWS storage gateway. So this is also, you see here one term is written, hybrid cloud storage service, right? So by the name itself, you can understand, right? So it's hybrid cloud storage service, right? So that means related to AWS as well as your on-premises, correct? So what will be the benefit here? You will get the storage given by AWS at your on-premises, right? So you will have access to the S3, you will have access to Glacier, you will have access to EFS, Elastic File System, right? Just sitting at the data center, right? So say like you have application, right? And application can connect to the gateway, that there will be some kind of gateway, say like file gateway, volume gateway, or tape gateway. 3 types of gateways are there. So you have a gateway, your application will connect to the gateway, right? And then gateway will connect to the S3, or gateway will connect to Glacier, wherever. So you will have the one gateway in between, right? Your application and AWS, right? And you will get the benefit of performance and durability and security and all those things, right? So here it means whatever, say like your data center is running out of space, some kind of requirement is there with respect to copying of the backup data, right? And you are not having space, you can go for this, right? So what is file gateway? File gateway is for file sharing, right? And volume gateway is for block level device, how you have your hard disk or you have SAN, right? So like that, volume gateway is for block level sharing, and tape gateway is for tape library, right? How your application should be writing to the tape library, right? So exactly you can, the same application can run and write to the tape library, right? So let me explain one second. Just connect my tab. Please let me know if you can see the MS Paint. Visible, right? These lines?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So you have your application running here, right? This is on premises in your location, right? You have your application running here, and say like you get a file gateway. You get a file gateway, okay? So using some protocols which are very common, right? NFS protocol, right? Network file system, or you have SMB, right? You just write to this file gateway, right? It's like how you have local file server, right? Just think like this is your local file server. This will be at your on premises only. Okay, getting it so far?
Yeah. Yes.
Now this will be connected to AWS. Okay, so in the AWS you have say like S3. So you just, and you will, another benefit you can have is you can have your local cache here. Okay, so you have your local cache here. So whatever frequently you are accessing, that data can remain here. Okay, and then whatever, all the data will go and be saved in S3. So what is the benefit here? You are running out of space here in on premises. Now you are utilizing the benefit of tremendous storage capacity of cloud, and then other benefits also you get. Say like we were discussing about life cycle management, right? Some kind of encryption related stuffs. Versioning we saw, right? Versioning. Remember?
Yeah.
Right? So all those benefits also you are getting here, right? And you are accessing as if you are things are there in on premises also. So how latency will be great, right? Very less latency, correct? High throughput. All those benefits you are getting simply at your own data center. Am I making sense here?
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So similar to this file gateway, you have volume gateway. So volume gateway is for block storage. In place of this NFS or SMB, there will be some iSCSI protocol. iSCSI protocol. You might have heard about fiber channel. Similar to that, iSCSI protocol. So this is for accessing the storage. Say like your SAN. No, in the backend you have storage. So for accessing that, right, your applications can use this iSCSI to access the volume gateway, right? Right? And then here also you can have option for storing the cache, right? And then that will go to AWS. So in between, right, you have option, right, for a gateway, and you'll feel like you're working within your data center. There is no latency, there is no issue, right? And you got tremendous capacity of the cloud. Right? So what is the difference here in file gateway and volume gateway? In volume gateway, you are getting what? What you are getting?
You're getting the on-premises storage itself.
Yeah, you are getting your primary storage there.
Yeah.
Correct. You are getting block level storage. So that's a great thing, right? So you're getting a block level storage. You don't have to invest in primary storage. You don't have to scale up your primary storage. You don't have to think about buying SAN or something. So you can simply use this volume gateway, right? So volume gateway will have two modes actually, right? So I'll be explaining you. So just give me a minute.
So how is the cost? Sorry, Prashant.
Cost can be like reasonable, right? Obviously you don't have to invest too much, but definitely when it comes to hybrid cloud, right, so you have to invest in hardware appliance for say like you want here for volume gateway, right? You can go for hardware appliance if you want a very robust system, or you can go for virtual machine as well. So there are options. You can go for virtual machine. You can use your existing VMware infrastructure, where you can just use a VM for doing this volume gateway concept, or you can use maybe KVM. Maybe you can use kind of Microsoft related whatever Hyper-V is there. That option you can use, or you can order, right, a volume gateway physical hardware appliance from Amazon, right? So that appliance will have some kind of robust pre-installed operating system and software, and everything will be there in that volume gateway. Right? So you can simply order it; it will just come to you. You can just connect. Right? So definitely, obviously, as compared to whatever data center and whatever hardware we are purchasing, and then file server we are building, and then we are maintaining it, managing it, scaling up, scaling down. So a lot of stuffs we are doing. Obviously, as compared to that, it will be simple, right? Reasonable price will be there.
So Harish, yes, one basic question. So this file gateway, volume gateway are all physical devices at the premises, right?
See, that's what I was discussing. It can be physical devices. It can be, virtual also. So you have the volume gateway. You can get it from Amazon. You can buy it, right? You'll get a server with some Xeon processor with some RAM and CPU, right? In that pre-installed volume gateway software will be there. Okay, so you can order that. You can get that and keep it on premises. Otherwise, you can use your own virtual machine, your own VMware ESXi host will be there, right? So in that ESX host, you can just install one virtual machine and put the software for this gateway, storage gateway, and you start using it. That is also possible.
Okay.
So this is not a basic service, is it? So all these will be like additional stuff, something like that.
Correct. So this is for say like hybrid cloud computing.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you want to extend your own data center and you want to make it bigger, right? You want more capacity, right? So you can start utilizing that Amazon's cloud features and all those things at your data center, right? So you can just connect it and then you can utilize.
Okay.
Right. So apart from this, you will have. So I was discussing about this volume gateway. So this is important. Sometimes some questions are there around this volume gateway, right? So file gateway is simple for file sharing, right? So when you are running out of space or something on premises, you can easily say like you are having some backup every day you are taking some backup, right? Or every week you are taking some backup, right? Backup for your servers, or backup for snapshots for your virtual machines, or kind of some database backup, permanent backup, whatever backup you are taking. So you want to you don't have so much of space for keeping that backup. Then what do? You have to invest, right, in scaling up your storage. So instead of that, you can go for this option, file gateway option there. And we discussed about the local cache, right? So local cache can give you the benefit of, right, quick restore, right? Right, we discussed about local cache, right?
Yeah.
So whatever important and recent backup is there, right, that can remain in local cache, right? And but anyways, everything will be there in, say, like S3, right? Sorry. So this is the gateway. This is file gateway, right? So what happens if you want to restore? You can simply restore from here quickly. But if you want to retain things for, say, like that backup for 1 year, right, you can retain with the various retention policies, right? You can have some, you can get rid of the older things, say like you don't want backup older than 1 year, right? So you can just write lifecycle policy there. You can simply say that after 1 year that backup file should be deleted, right? And say like encryption, you want to put some encryption mechanism or something, so it will keep it encrypted there in S3, right? So that is file gateway. With respect to volume gateway, right, you have the low latency access again, but there in volume gateway you will have two options, right? So volume gateway will have two options, right? So one will be cached volume mode, and another one would be stored volume mode. Okay, two options, right? So what happens here, that we were discussing now about cache thing, right? So similarly here in that cached volume mode, right, frequently accessed data will be stored locally, right? So you will have low latency for frequently accessed data in this case, right? Low latency for frequently accessed data. What about the cost for the primary storage scaling up or something? You don't have to invest, right? So the data will be stored, you will got the cache, and data will be stored in AWS. So you will have low latency, right? And you will have retention benefit, data retention benefit in the S3, and then again cost also with the benefit. What happens is stored volume mode, right? You want low latency access to entire data. Here you don't have entire data, low latency for cached data only, right? So discussed like this, you have some cached data, right? So you have low latency only for cached data, right? Now you want low latency for entire data. Okay, possible? Such requirement is possible. So
yeah.
You can configure the gateway. This is the gateway. This will have all data. Getting it? In this gateway, you have all data, right? Here you have only cached data. Here you have all data in gateway itself, stored volume. So you are storing the data in the volume, right? Stored volume. Here cached volume, as the name suggests. Just try to remember. Questions may be around. So cached volume means cached data will be there. Stored volume means stored. All the data will be stored there. right? So what is the benefit here? All the data is getting stored in locally itself.
Low latency, that is the bigger
Correct.
benefit. Yeah.
Correct. Low latency to all the data. It's kind of your own local storage only, right?
Yeah,
Local storage.
frequently used data.
In this case, you have frequently used data in this
Yeah.
cached volume concept. In this concept, you have all the data. All the data, 100% data is kept here. Okay. Say like here you have 20% data kept, 80% not there. Now, what is the benefit of stored volume mode?
Secured, can we say?
You mean to say like you are getting redundancy?
Yeah, kind of redundancy.
Yeah, correct. That's right. So what is happening here is you have the data and now this data will go to AWS asynchronously. Now you are working here only. You have your application, you are working here, right? Now at some point of time, all those data will be copied to AWS. Say like you, as per the schedule, right? So what will happen? All the data are asynchronously backed up, right? To the AWS, say like S3. Okay, so all the data are backed up there. So your data is safe, right? Kind of a DR, right?
Yeah, okay.
Right. So
Yeah.
you have durable offsite backup, right? You have multiple copies, and now you know the about S3, right? You are putting in S3 somewhere. So you how much durable it is, right? So and then again, if you say like if you can put some life cycle policy there, and then maybe some data you may put in standard class or something, and remaining data maybe data older than 1 month or 2 months or whatever, you can simply put it in Glacier. Glacier can be so cheap, possible.
Yeah.
So the management of the data, right? That's a very big issue, right? So data is becoming old, still it is just occupying your disk space, right? So that's the biggest issue. And then it is so costly disk, and then in that you are keeping the data which is of very less use, right? So you are not frequently accessing it. Right? So you have various options in S3, so you can simply put some rules, and then data will be copied in the proper storage class. Am I making sense so far? Everything clear?
Yes, Harish. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So apart from this, you have something called tape gateway also, right? So what happens here? It's a virtual tape drive. Virtual tape drive. Okay. It's a virtual tape drive actually, right? So it will be supporting the third party backup applications, like you might have heard about Veritas, right? Or net backup or something. So those kind of third party backup applications it is supporting. And again, the common protocols can be used, right, to access this. So there is not an issue. And now the data can go to AWS. So you have again the backup applications, right? Backup applications accessing virtual tape drive, and from there, it's going to AWS. So like Glacier. So Glacier is more relevant. So I'm just mentioning that Glacier here, or maybe Deep Glacier you heard about, right? You know the difference? Glacier and Deep Glacier. All are there with me?
Yes, Harish.
Correct. So Deep Glacier, even cheaper, cheapest possible. Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Correct.
So
Yes.
now you will be saving the burden. What is the burden here? With the actual physical tape drive, you will have the burden of operating it, provisioning things, and scaling it up and down, and managing the library, you need people. So a lot of things are there. So this is quite easy, the virtual option related to tape gateway. Right? So I'll share again a link related to this because if you have a theoretical good concept, so that will be helpful. Right? So I'll share some things related to that as well. Okay, so what we discussed about the Snowball service and the storage gateway, right? So here comes the first question. Please take a look and try to answer. And I have mentioned it as a simple question, not a sample question. So this is a simple question, then comes the sample question will be next.
C and D.
C and D. Okay, so 1 second. C and D option from Prashant? Pradeep. 1 second. I just missed it. C and D option from Pradeep?
Yeah, Subhaya here.
Subhaya, okay, okay. So Subhaya says C and D. Okay. Anybody else? Please try this question.
Okay.
Prashant, you want to try?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would also go for C. Harish.
Pradeep?
Yeah, this is Pradeep.
Okay, Pradeep. Okay. So Pradeep, 1 second. Okay, this is better. Fine. So you said C, right?
I said C. Yeah.
You said C, Pradeep, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
B and C.
And Subhaya, you said B and C? B for this is intelligent or D and C?
No, I said C and D. I think Prashant said B and C now, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Prashant, B and C?
Yes.
And Subhaya?
C and D.
C and D. Okay, let's see. Okay, so let's go to the question. Which S3 storage classes are most cost effective for infrequently accessed data that can't be easily replaced? So I have to look at the keywords here. So what they are looking for, cost effective they're talking about. Then they are talking about infrequently accessed. Then what they are talking about is can't be easily replaced. So what I understood from here is they are looking for cost. Okay. Then they are looking for infrequent access. Then they are telling about can't be easily replaced. Oh, that means data is critical. 3 things I understood from this question, right? And now you want to reconsider your answer by looking at these 3 things. Anybody? You can change. You have option.
Subhaya here. I am not sure about D.
You are sure about C?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And B also might be other one, I think.
B?
Yeah, B and C. I want to change to B and C.
Okay. And Pradeep, you want to remain with C? You have to choose 2, Pradeep.
Okay. Yeah. So then I'll go for B and C. Yeah.
Okay. And again, Prashant already B and C, right? You want to change?
No, I'm fine with that.
You're fine with that? Okay. Okay. So in certification, if they are asking for 2, you have to answer 2, and both should be correct. Then only you get marks. If one is correct, you don't get partial marks. There is no option for partial mark.
Okay.
Okay. So that's good attempt. Let us see. Let's see one by one. So it says S3 standard, right? So one of the best class, right? And costliest, right? And so I think because of that reason you have not chosen it. If we just don't consider about cost, then maybe infrequently accessed things. So here also cost also high, infrequently accessed, that is for frequent access, S3 standard. Right, obviously for critical that is good. So this is almost like may not be the right answer, but we have to consider each and every answer, right, before we finalize, right? So now we cannot say that this is not the right answer or anything. Just after looking all the other options, then only we can decide. So let's see. We saw that the standard one is not good with respect to cost and infrequent access criteria. However, it's good for critical data. Now we look at B. So that is S3 intelligent tiering, right? So that says that is the option for switching the data from standard, standard, and you have standard infrequent access class, and you have intelligent tiering storage class here. So what it does is it will be switching the data from here to there, right? It will simply be switching data from here to there. There is nothing special about it other than this. So what it does is data, whatever, it will just analyze, it will monitor, it will analyze, and will see that data is frequently accessed, it will keep in standard class. Data is not frequently accessed, it will just move that data to infrequent access category. That's it, intelligent tiering does, right? So this intelligent tiering may not be suitable because anyways, like it is second highest cost. The costliest one is a standard, and the second thing is intelligent, because here you have to pay maybe for 20% for this and 80% for this, right? So it may be cheaper than standard, however costlier than this, because IA class will be 100% this rate only. Here 20% you have to pay from the standard category, right? So it will be of the second highest cost, right? Intelligent tiering. So with respect to cost, it is second highest, may or may not be suitable option. Second thing about the infrequent access category, here it clearly says this is for infrequently accessed data. So this may not be the right choice, because here this is for unknown type of data where we don't know, right, whether data is frequently accessed or not frequently accessed, right? So in that case, this intelligent tiering may not be an option with respect to this particular option of infrequently accessed data, as it is saying, right? Now let's see the C. It says S3 standard IA, right? So the redundancy for this standard IA is similar to all others, right? You remember the redundancy? What is redundancy here? Data will be replicated across all 3 availability zones, right? Hello?
Yes.
So data will be replicated for standard, for intelligent tiering, for this, for others, except this one zone. Data is getting replicated to 3 zones, 4 zones, 5 zones, right? Minimum of 3 zones, correct? Correct?
Yes. Yes.
So here you are having the data, whatever data, and durability again. You have 11 nines of durability, right? So you have the durability, right? And you have the redundancy, right? For this C category, that standard IA, and that's the reason all of you have chosen C, right? So C can be the best option so far, right? Now let's look at D. D says one zone IA. So one zone, you all know that, right? The data is kept only in one zone, right? So this may be cheaper. However, there is no redundancy across the availability zones, right? So if the zone, a particular one zone, wherever you have kept the data might, go offline or might, some issue. Because of that, data might be lost, right? So this is, may not be the choice because data is critical in this case, right? So for critical data, one zone IA may not be the right choice, right? Now we look at the E, S3 glacier option. Right? So if you look at the glacier, right? So if you talk about durability, right? So it's like durability is same as compared to standard or intelligent tiering or infrequent access standard, right? So durability is same, correct? And that data as well is copied across availability zones, right? So redundancy you have, durability you have, and cost wise, that's really the cheapest one here in this, all those 5. Glacier is the cheapest one, so that looks like the best candidate to me, right? This Glacier looks like the best candidate. So why it is cheap? Not because of durability. Durability is same, but it's cheap because of low availability. Whenever you need data, immediately you will not get, correct? So data is not highly available. It may take hours to get your data, correct? So, but it's cost effective. So E category, if you look, this Glacier, right, cost wise, it is the cheapest. Infrequent access, they are talking about infrequent access. Obviously, this is for infrequent access because we don't require any availability here, right? Critical, of course, let it be critical, doesn't matter. Glacier is keeping your data very safely, right? So this will be the first choice for me, right? And then this one zone cannot be a choice because it will data will be in risk. And then this C category, right, infrequent access, that clearly says it is infrequently accessed data, right? And then this is the cheaper option as compared to intelligent tiering and standard option, right? So cost wise also that is good, and obviously the name itself says infrequent access, so that will be my second choice, right? If they ask for one, I'll choose Glacier. If they ask for 2, I'll choose these 2. What do you all say?
Agreed, Harish. Yeah, clear.
Yeah.
Okay,
Agree.
everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So this is the level of knowledge they are looking for with respect to certification. So just whenever you are going through some concept, you have to go back and read the entire concept, right? So that you will have the proper in-depth understanding, and then you will, once you go through some questions, right, so you'll have more understanding about how much you are able to relate. Because initially you will gain the knowledge that will be quite theoretical, right? Then you will start analyzing, thinking, right, in that respect, then only it will be useful, right? So fine, let's look at if we have another question. So we have one more question. Okay, so please go through it. So this is a sample question, right? So this is how it will be there in examination. Please take some time and just try to understand. Right? So the question says, a company currently stores data for on-premises applications on local drives. Ready for answer?
Okay, so B.
Let's see. Pradeep?
Yes.
B. Okay, let's see. So one answer we got is B. Okay. Subhaya and Prashant. You're there?
I will go with D.
D. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I think Prashant, you're left. Prashant speaking in mute.
Yeah, I'll go with B.
B.
Yeah.
Okay, Prashant also says B. Okay. So a company currently stores data for on-premises applications on local drive. The chief technology officer wants to reduce hardware cost. Okay. For storing data in S3, but does not want to make modifications to the application. They want to store in S3, right? And application is on premises, right? On premises on local drive, okay? Not want to make any modification to minimize latency. Okay, they are concerned about latency as well. Frequently accessed data should be available locally. Frequently accessed data should also be available locally. What is a reliable and durable solution? Okay, for a solutions architect to implement that will reduce the cost of local storage. Okay, so again they are talking about the cost, right? Reduce the local cost. Okay, cost of local storage. So what does A option says? Deploy an SFTP client on a local server and transfer data to S3 using AWS transfer for SFTP. So is it helping with in saving the cost? A category, this A answer? No, right? Because
No.
this client machine will, this SFTP client will copy the data from local to there, but again you have to store locally itself, right? So you can't reduce the cost. Hardware cost you cannot reduce. So this is not an option. Now B category says, B says deploy an AWS storage gateway, volume gateway configured in cached volume mode. Okay, so they are talking about you have your volume gateway in the cached mode, right? So local application can access the data locally, and no, you will have all the data in S3. Okay, so I don't see any issue with this option, correct?
Yeah.
Did you see like any issue with this option so far?
No, no.
You have the application, you have the volume gateway, right? And then you have that in cached volume mode, right? So the frequently accessed data, whatever is there, that can be taken locally, and then all the data is there. So they talked about latency. So latency issue is resolved here, right? And then they talked about frequently accessed data should be available locally. That is available. Reduce the cost of local storage, and then they are free of local storage cost. And then what else? Storing the data in S3. So they are getting the benefit of durability here. Durable, they are talking about reliable and durable. So reliable, durable, they are anyways getting there. So B option is so far looking so good to me. Let's look at the C choice. It says deploy an AWS data sync agent, right, on a local server and configure an S3 bucket as the destination. So data sync, I just referenced some time about data sync agent. So that is for migrating the data, right? So that is online migration of the data from one location to S3 location from your whatever data center or your on-premises data center or office location or whatever. So from there, using this data sync, you can synchronize the data. You can migrate the data to S3. So this is something where you have to keep the data locally again, and there is no choice of getting the low latency or something here. So this is also not looking good so far. Now comes the D option, deploy an AWS storage gateway, volume gateway configured in stored volume mode. So this stored volume mode, you will have the gateway where you'll have all data, right? And then you have application and you have all data, and then you will have the backup in the S3, right? So here latency is minimized, very good. And you have the durability, that's also great, right? And data is available locally, that issue also handled. The only factor that reduced the cost of local storage, so this is only not addressed, right? So technically this the D option is good as well. However, we have a better choice available, that is B, right? Because I think they are also looking at cost, so I would go for B option. I'd go for B choice. So Pradeep, you agree?
Yes, Harish. Yeah.
Right, so that is little better choice, right, as compared to the
Yeah.
volume?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we are good with this. So let's see, one more we have. Companies. This is what we discussed. This we have discussed. This we have not discussed, looks like. Please see, this we have not discussed.
Yeah.
Okay, so please go through this. So in the exam, you will have 2 minutes for each question.
I will go with A option.
Okay. So one answer we got is one option we got is A. Okay.
I am also going with A.
Okay.
Yeah, myself A. Yeah, deep dive.
Okay. All the three went for A. Okay. A company needs to maintain access logs for a minimum of 5 years due to regulatory requirements. Okay. The data is rarely accessed once stored, but must be accessible with 1 day's notice if it is needed. Okay. What is the most cost effective? See, this they have mentioned in capital only. So most cost effective data storage solution that meets these requirements. Okay, so one most important thing is most cost effective. Then they are talking about minimum of 5 years, and then they are talking about 1 day notice or something. So that is also giving some idea, right? Store the data in Amazon S3 Glacier Deep Archive storage. Okay, Deep Archive. And delete the objects after 5 years using a lifecycle policy. Sounds good, right? That's really good. Okay, then what about the second one? Store the data in S3 standard storage and transition to S3 Glacier after 30 days using a lifecycle rule. This is not making any sense, right? Why should we keep for 30 days? We should pay for so much high, right? That's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Store the data in logs using Amazon CloudWatch log. Oh. And set the retention period to 5 years. So keep data in CloudWatch logs for 5 years, right? And pay for it. Not making any sense. And after that, it's not even deleted. Store the data in S3 standard infrequent access and delete objects after 5 years using a lifecycle rule. So this may be technically correct. However, right, this will be costly option, right? Because there is no need of such availability, right? We don't want highly available data, right? This will be 99.9% available. Like, we don't want that much, right? So 99.5% or something less, that much availability should be okay for us. So this first option is like the best option, right? So all of you have answered it, well. Good. So that means you have understood the concept of storage gateway, right? Sorry, storage classes, right? So you understood the concept of storage classes, S3 storage classes. Perfect. So it's time to do some hands-on, right? So we'll do some hands-on quickly. Right? Hosting a static website on S3, right? So what we will do, let's go to S3. Please go to AWS console, management console. All of you. There you choose S3. Right? You can choose like this, or you can just scroll down and you can see storage, and then you can see S3. Right? Just click on that. Please let me know if all of you are there. So we have created bucket earlier, you remember? S3?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even from command line also we created.
Yeah. So there is a pop-up message We
What does it
enable
say?
and yeah, the same thing which you see in the top S3 console experience. Switch to new.
Okay.
We
So
have
this,
temporarily enabled the previous version.
yeah, so that is fine.
Okay.
Like no, they are making some changes, right, in the console, and so you have
So like
option.
this, there will be frequent changes happening.
Every day you will see something new in AWS.
So in that case, we are not using the new version.
No, actually they will be doing modification, real-time modifications, right? So if you
Okay.
switch to new console, just look and feel will change. Nothing else will change. You can just click on it and you can just see.
Okay.
See,
Okay.
I clicked there, so I saw
Okay.
what is different here. You just like the look and feel is different, but
Yeah,
everything
UA is getting
correct,
some. Yeah.
correct, correct. So you can switch to previous version. So they are just doing some modifications. They are just taking care of people who have been working for long, so they're giving some option here, maybe
Okay.
some
Okay.
time them to understand the new console, right? So you can always switch here. The only difference is these photos and all those things are there. So that's it. You can switch to new console also. So same, exactly same. No
Okay.
much difference. Here you have a create bucket option here, right?
Okay.
Now you can click here. In the older one, you can just so click on some other place. So it's fine, not an issue. You can choose any of the interface.
Okay.
So what we are trying to do here, we'll create a S3 bucket, right? And we'll host a static website there in our bucket, right? I will not write any code, right? So without
Okay.
writing any code, we'll just host one website. Right? So all of you here on the page,
Yes.
okay? So just click on create bucket. All there?
Yes.
Okay. So just give some name. I'll just give like my initial with today's date. I'll give so that no, it becomes something unique. Let's see. I'll just give like this something, and I'll say .com. Okay. So I have just given some name, right? Please choose some unique name here, bucket name, because we are creating a website. So that's why I have given name like this .com, right? So I'll go with Ohio itself, right? So what is the difference here is there step by step we were going. In the older one, we are getting one screen, then we are doing next,
Right. Right.
then we are
Next.
getting one more, then next. Here, what happened? Everything they kept here directly, and then create bucket button also there. So it's easier, right?
Yes. Yes.
It's better. So everyone done? Prashant, you're there? Done?
Yeah.
Subhaya?
Yeah.
Okay. So no, here we first you just give some name and then choose some region and then just remove this option. Block all public access option is there, right? So just remove it. Okay. So because we want our website to be accessible, right, by people. So for now, what we are doing, we are unblocking the public access, right? By removing that option. Then we'll put some policy in place so that it will be read-only access, right? So just remove this, acknowledge it. So because this is a security risk, so they are asking us to acknowledge because we are turning off the public access option, so it will become publicly available. So you just acknowledge. Okay. Now, bucket versioning, you can enable.
Yeah.
Tags, You can put some tags. So tag will be some key value pair. So just give some name and you can simply say my website or something. Right? Now choose, you have option for default encryption. So not required as of now. So you have option for encryption. You can just choose a encryption for any of the S3 bucket and your data will be encrypted, right, at rest. Right? So you'll have two different types of encryption, server side and client side. So we'll be discussing about that encryption later, right? So just as of now, you just leave this. In advanced settings, you have object lock, some other options. So we are not touching that as of now. So that's it. So we kept the name, region, block access. We have removed that, unticked it, and then acknowledge this, enable the versioning, given a tag, right, with some name, and we are not doing any encryption as of now, and we are disabling the object lock, that is by default disabled already. Now we say create bucket. All of you here so far?
Yes.
So click on create bucket. Okay, so it says successfully created bucket and my bucket name is there, right? So I can see my bucket is created here, right? Okay. It says objects can be public and creation date, time, everything is there, region is there, right? So go inside the bucket, click on that bucket and you see the options here, right? All of you please come to this page.
Harish, once again, when I click on create bucket.
Yeah, it says
bucket
exist, name exist.
No, bucket name contains invalid characters. So I just given test bucket 15 August 15 AUG, which is AUG.
Did you use capital?
No, I did not use.
And did you use any hyphen at the end?
I used, but I removed, but still it's saying that.
Please tell the
Space is
space, it will not take in between.
Okay, then that's why, because I have one space.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Yes, okay.
Okay. Created. Yeah. So it will just create the bucket. So you can see the bucket here in the S3 dashboard. So this is S3 dashboard where you can see one bucket is there. All of you are here?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Click on the bucket. Right? So you have the details of the bucket. Right? There is no object in this bucket, right? Look at the properties. Go to the properties. You see versioning is enabled. While creating this bucket, we enabled versioning, right? So you see a tick mark here as enabled, right? Other things, nothing else is enabled here, right? So we are interested in static website hosting, right? So this says disabled. Let's click on this. Once you click, what do you see? Use this bucket to host a website, redirect request, or disable website hosting. So we will use this bucket to host a website. Please choose the first option. Just note this endpoint. Just see this endpoint. So this will be the website URL. This is the endpoint through which you will be able to access the bucket, right? So here you just put index document file name. Say like whatever is written, index.html, just type like that, index.html. Just type. That is case sensitive. this file name is case sensitive. So you just put index.html in lowercase, right? Then we have to create this file and keep in the bucket. How we create the website, right? Wherever we host a website, so we will have one home page, right? So you put some index.html file there. Any name you can put, but the same name file should be kept in the location, right? So here we are creating index.html and nothing else. Error document, these are optional, and we are clicking on save, right? So now it says bucket hosting, right? So static website hosting, bucket hosting, it's chosen there. Everyone done with this step?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect, perfect. So now it comes to policy. We have to look at some policy. So please go to this permission. Say like by any chance, if your bucket may be having block public access enabled, so you'll see option here to disable it. This edit button helps. Just click on edit. You can block it, unblock it. You have option here, right? Then you can save accordingly. So for me, it's already off. So that's why I'm not changing anything. For you also, it should be off. Correct,
Yes.
for everyone?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now you just click on bucket policy. See bucket policy, right? What does it give? One editor, right? You have to write the policy here, right? So it's difficult to write in JSON, right, for now. So what you can do is you can go to policy generator, right? So you can go to policy generator, will generate some policy, and then we will copy paste here, right? So go to policy generator. You see, you have some options here.
Yeah.
So this is just a page where you can generate a policy and then you can copy and paste it there, right? So what is the purpose of this policy? So we are trying to give read access, right, to all the people, right, for our website. That means for our bucket. Select type of policy. What should be the policy? S3 bucket policy, correct?
Yeah. Okay.
Simple. Just choose S3 bucket policy. Now there will be statement. The policy type is related to S3 bucket policy. Now comes the statement. So this statement is the formal description of a single permission, whether you want to allow or you want to deny. What you want to allow or something you want to deny. Getting it? So now we want to give, right, access to everyone. So for that reason, we'll use asterisk, star button. Just look for it. I think Shift 8. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Put that star, means we are giving read access to everyone. Right now comes to AWS service. So it says all service. You just, this is like you have no choice. So it is already selected. So all the service. Now you see action. Click on this and just see what action you want to perform there. So you want people to read the website, correct? Read the content, right? So for reading, it will be get object. For writing, it will be put object. For deleting, it will be delete object. So you'll have various options. For creating bucket, you have create bucket, create job, like that options are there. So just look for something get object. Just browse through it and so slowly you look for some option related to get object. Look for it. Just tell me. I see one. Get object option. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is good. Get object option we got. Sometimes no, like we'll require other options. So just look at things. Get object version, right? Sometimes no, list all my buckets. Say like you want to give me permission to list all your bucket in your S3. So list all my bucket option will come, or list bucket. There you will give your bucket name or something, and I can use that bucket. Whatever is your bucket, that will be visible to me. I'll just put your account ID in my account section, and then I'll, if you give me this privilege of list bucket, so I can list a particular bucket in my account itself. So a lot of options.
Not required.
Which one?
Do not check the list object.
Only get object is required. This is for people to read the data, whatever object you are putting. Only one option is required here. So I'm just telling about the other options. Lot of other options are there. So in the documentation, you will find sometimes, no, you choose this, you choose that, right? So for some different use cases, you will have different options, right? So this is a policy generator page where you can come and you can choose different options and you can authorize people for that activity, right? So we have chosen only one option. Now it says Meson resource name. So what is the resource name? Resource name is, you just go to the previous page, another tab, and you see here ARN is listed. Correct? You see the ARN here?
Yeah.
Just choose starting from small ARN till com. Copy it carefully. Nothing should be left. Then you just paste it here, because it will not throw any error. This is no, just a generator of the policy. So it has nothing to do with your account or anything relevant. So if you just give wrong thing, then that also it will accept. Okay, so just see. We have given some ARN, right? And then, so it says ARN should follow the following format: ARN : AWS : S3 : then bucket name / key name, right? So we have given till bucket name, correct?
Yeah.
Right? So you want to give a key name, what you can do is you can give a / and you can give an asterisk as well here. Okay, so just try with that. Sometimes I try directly like this, that also works. So we'll see. We can try like this as well, we'll see. So we'll change it if it doesn't work. So you can add, we got this principal S3 object ARS / and then you have option to delete it and again write it. So one thing has come here. As soon as you did this, it has come, and then you have option to generate policy, right? So everyone here, you got statement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So just click on generate policy. You see some policy is in place. You see this code?
Yes.
Perfect. So just select this, copy this, right? And then come to our bucket policy editor. Sorry, where it should come. permission, bucket policy. So we are in bucket policy editor. Just paste it. Okay, all of you done?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So if you practice more, you'll be able to write like this, right? So it's not very difficult. Just you have to understand a little bit and then you can do it. Now, or you can just generate it and then you can modify. Say like now you want to change the bucket name or something. So you don't have to go to policy generator again. You can change things here, right? You can simply modify this ARN. You want to make it for another bucket or something, right? So action, you can just add one more. You can simply, in place of this, you can simply press some enter, right? And you can just start typing here. You can simply say like S3 colon, and you can simply say put object, right? Don't do this. I'm just showing you. You can simply modify this. You can do, right? Easy, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can just generate the policy and then you can edit it. You can you will get some basic point from where you can begin and you
Bucket
can
name
start.
can be changed here, Harish.
Pardon?
Bucket name can be changed from here.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. You can simply come here. You can simply change this bucket name to some other bucket name, right? So it will be applicable, right? But
Yeah,
the only thing is we are in this particular bucket as of now, right? So, and we are giving policy for this particular bucket. So this bucket name, changing this bucket name is like not making sense, right?
Okay.
One more question, Harish. So we have a ID here, right? If we see, we have a policy ID.
Correct.
So if we change the bucket name, can the same policy, this file can be used for two buckets?
See, you can simply copy this. That doesn't matter. That ID just like identification, some unique ID number. So it's not for this bucket. That is not specific to this bucket.
Okay.
Only thing specific to this bucket is this one. This much only. This much only.
Okay.
That's it. Only this much is specific to this bucket. You can simply copy and keep it in a notepad. And whenever you require to work with any of the static website hosting for any of the bucket, simply change that bucket name and use it. Okay. So it's like that. So simple. That's nothing complicated in this. Simply save it. Sometimes some typo, something will happen, and then it will give some error. Otherwise, it will just become yellow. And here it will say bucket policy. Use JSON-based access policy language to manage advanced permission to your Amazon S3 resources. The bucket has public access. We have provided public access to this bucket. We highly recommend that you never grant any kind of public access to the S3 bucket. So this is done, right? So if you just go back to properties, you see here, this has changed, right?
I have got an error.
Some typo?
Okay. No, action does not apply to any resource in statement.
So did you remove that bucket name by chance or change it?
No, I did not do. I actually tried to change, then I deleted again.
Okay, so do one thing, some typo or some braces or something might have gone. Just delete that policy and take it from generator.
Okay.
Yeah, copy paste again.
Okay.
Yeah. And just notice this bucket name. Bucket name should be yours. That should be, yeah.
Policy contains invalid JSON.
So anything missed? Any this braces or any anything?
Okay.
Just see.
Let me check that.
Yeah.
Yeah, still now action does not apply to any resource in the statement.
Okay. So just give me a moment. You can share your screen and then we can.
So .com is mandatory, not right?
Which one?
So bucket name, when you said .com, I did not mention any .com here. So is it because of that?
No. Anything is like any name is fine.
Okay.
So you mentioned exactly like this, your policy. Just can you take a look from the top? Any comma, double quote, single quote, anything changed or anything missed? Or your ARN, like ARN is properly like this. You just see ARN colon AWS colon S3, then triple
Yeah.
colon. Is
Correct.
it like that?
Yeah, triple colon. Then the
Then
bucket name.
then slash asterisk.
Yeah, asterisk. Correct. Then double quotes, then comma.
Exactly like this.
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
Okay, so maybe you can share your screen and we can
Yeah, let
fix
me
it.
check.
Yeah.
Okay, can you make me a host?
Yeah, 1 second.
Naren?
Yeah, Pradeep, you are host now.
Okay, okay, Harish. Yeah, let me share my screen.
Sure. Okay, perfect.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the policy.
Okay. Action, get object, list bucket, effective allow. Okay, then where is action? Where is action? I don't see action.
Action is here.
Yeah, principle.
Principal, yeah.
Okay, principle also there. Policy JSON generator S3. 1 second. All of you got like this?
No.
This is something different, right? Principal came down. One second. Let's see how it came. Principal will be there only. Yeah, that's I think similar only, right?
One additional thing is S3 colon list bucket. That is fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, list bucket you just remove. Yeah, correct.
Okay, we don't need list one.
No. List bucket is some option which you can give to some other person, say like some other account holder. Say like now you want to allow me for listing your bucket, right? So that is
Yeah.
not relevant in this case. So that is because of that.
So you selected in the option, I
No.
believe.
I was just showing.
Okay, show you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. You can remove this. You can press delete one time.
Okay.
Yeah. So one more time you can. Yeah, I think we are good now. You just copy paste.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you can remove here. That list bucket option is there, right?
Yeah, I'll just
Okay, better. Yeah. Just save it.
invalid JSON. So I think this bracket.
After get object, no? You
Yeah.
have a comma, right?
Yeah. Okay.
That you remove. Yeah. Now you save.
And after the
That is
bracket
good.
comes.
That is good. Just save it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay. No problem. You can make me host.
Okay. Okay.
You can. Yeah. Thank you. Perfect. So now that we all have